Because when we're talking about starting a business, when we're talking about acquiring assets, when we're talking about building wealth for our family, building it and acquiring it is the first step, but we have to do something to protect everything that we work for to get. So I want everyone to put their money hats on, because we are all owners of either a 7, 8, or 9-figure business. Okay, so Netflix, Apple, Amazon, Facebook, all of these multi-billion-dollar corporations started in apartment complexes, in college dorms, in garages, okay? So it's not how you start, it's how you finish. So I don't know where you are right now in your entrepreneurial journey. I don't know what your surroundings look like, but this is just the beginning. Okay, so when we're starting our business, we have to lay our foundation to be correct. Because if we have a faulty foundation, everything that we build on is going to then just crumble eventually. So we want to have a strong, solid foundation. So as I'm talking to you today, I want you to put your money hats on, okay? So we are multi-million-dollar business owners. We are running our business like it's Walmart. So therefore, we must set up that business structure like it's Walmart. Okay, so I don't care if you're in your mama's house. I don't care if, you in the basement. We are mini Walmarts. Okay. So the first thing we want to do is we want to form a corporation, either an LLC or a corporation. An S Corp is not going to be a business entity, meaning we don't form an S Corp, okay? So we're going to form either an LLC or a C Corp, but we can always choose to have that entity taxed as an S Corp, but the two entities are going to be LLC and C Corp, okay? An LLC has less corporate formalities, meaning less things you have to do to keep that corporate structure versus the corporation. So my entity of choice is going to be the LLC, but we can do both. Okay. So we are going to form our LLC the second we are talking about starting a business. Well, why? Let's just say this is you. Okay. So you have a house, you have money in the bank, and maybe you have a car. If we're starting our business out of our home, out of our apartment, we're like, well, we're not big enough yet. Let me kind of make some money first. And let me just kind of see if this is going to work before. When we are doing business as a DBA or a sole proprietor, we are exposing our personal assets. Okay, so we have our house, our car, our money in the bank being exposed to potential business creditors. We don't want that. So from the beginning, we want to form our LLC to separate us from the business. Okay, so here's us and then here's the business. So in case the business gets sued, you're trying to get your business started and maybe you and your graphic designer fall out and they sue you. Okay, you're trying to get your business started and you and a vendor fall out and they sue you. If they sue you, they're only going to get what the business owns. They're not going to get your assets. Okay, so the first reason why we're going to form our LLC is so we separate us from the business. Okay, the biggest mistake is us running around as a sole proprietor or a DBA, meaning don't be asked out. And then when a lawsuit hits, we're now going to lose our house, our home, our car. But more importantly, let me put my little props out. When we do business wrong and things happen, the monkeys get on our neck. The monkeys are going to be stressed. Okay, so when you are dealing with, oh my gosh, I didn't form an LLC and now I can lose my house, I can lose my car, I can lose the money in the bank. Now when your kids got to get out of private school, now your wife got to turn in that luxury car. Now we have strife. Now we're arguing. Now we're facing a divorce, all because we didn't want to form an LLC. Okay, so a lot of the things I'm saying are going to sound real simple, or well, can I just cheat the code? This is not the code to cheat. Okay, because business is business. When you jump in these business streets, it's mean out here. It's real, okay? I know on social media, you're going to form your LLC, and then the same day you form, you're going to get $1 million in funding, and then by the morning, you're going to be a millionaire, and you're going to be on the beach, and that's how it's portrayed on social media. But in these real streets, that's not how it happens, okay? And the second you get 2 coins in your pocket, someone's trying to take 3 coins from you, so you want to make sure that our structure is correct. So So first things first, when the thought comes, I want to do blah, 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 we're already at the Secretary of State forming our LLC. Number 2, we're going to get our EIN and we're going to get our business bank account. Now, our business bank account is going to be the resume for your business. We think about Walmart. If I go to Walmart, can I cash app the cashier? No. If I go to Walmart, can I Zelle the cashier? No. If I go to Walmart, can I say, oh, it's $100? I only got 90. Can I get it for 90? No. You aren't even going to ask the cashier, can she take $10 off, right? So we got to run our business like it's Walmart. So whatever the price is, and we're going to collect our payment either via check, cash, or credit card. No Cash App, no Zelle. And we're going to have something called a POS, or a point of sale system. Okay, so Square, Stripe, PayPal, we're going to run all of our transactions through our point of sale system, even cash. So everyone's going to be getting an invoice and receipt. So we have a third party provider that sales are going to match what's going in the business bank account. When you start making a lot of money and your color of your skin may be different, when you walk into the bank, a lot of times they're not going to believe your bank statements. They're going to think that you have something else going on. Okay, so if you're at the bank and they're looking at how many deposits you're having, and they're kind of, oh, what do you do again? You're in storage facility. How are you making all this doing a storage facility? If you can log on right there in the banker's office, well, here's my Stripe report, and the sales report in your Stripe account match your bank. That's my shut up, and give me this money response. Okay. But if we got cash underneath our mattress, and we got some Zelle over here, and we got some Cash App over here, and our business bank account does not represent the amount that our business is really making, is going to hinder us also in the future for funding. Okay. So LLC, EIN, business bank account. Now, when it comes to your LLC, we got to make sure that it's structured correctly. So number 1, we need to have a business address. They're going to Google your address. We don't need an apartment complex coming up. We don't need a house coming up. It needs to be a commercial property coming up. So you want to go get a virtual address, not a P.O. box, not a UPS address, not a postal service address, a virtual address. When you go to the virtual address, it will be a commercial space. They have offices. It's a really like a co-working space. You can look at Regis, Opus, Alliance, physicaladdress.com. I would not use iPostal because that comes up as a P.O. box. We got to have a business address. I don't care if you're making $10 million out of your house. That's fine. But every corporation or business must have a business headquarters. Okay. So we got to have a business address. The second thing on your LLC is you want to make sure that our name, if we're in a high risk industry, is going to be a generic name. Okay. So industry that are high risk are either going to have a high probability of chargebacks, or a high probability that you're going to go bankrupt. So for these reasons, lenders don't really like to loan a lot of money to these industries. Okay. So trucking, transportation, construction, CBD, tax preparation, credit repair, real estate, all of those seem to be high risk. Okay. So if you already have that in your name, we can't do anything else about it. You can just go with how you're structured now. You can also start a second LLC now and start building up that business credit if you want to get additional funding. But we don't need to change your name, because if you amend something, you got to take the original plus the amendment into the bank. So it's going to defeat the purpose by just changing your name. Okay. So if you haven't formed your LLC yet and you're in a high risk industry, you want to make sure that we mask our name with like maybe enterprises or holdings or just something real generic. Okay. So we want to have a low risk name. The third thing is you want to make sure that every year you're checking the address for your registered agent. The registered agent is going to be the most important person and address on your LLC documentation. Okay. This is where the lawsuit's coming. This is where the state's mailing the information that, hey, you forgot your report. If this address is old, that's on you. Okay, so every year, it's the end of the year, I tell people, pull out your articles of organization. Who is your registered agent and what is that address? Now, you can be your own agent, but maybe you have moved your business. Maybe you moved your home. Maybe you changed virtual address companies and that address changed. Okay, so you want to make sure it's a correct address. For this reason, if someone is suing you, they have to sue you at the address of your registered agent. If it's old, depending on the state, the process server has to go there between 3 and 5 times. If they keep going there and you're not there, all they have to do is leave that lawsuit at the front door of that address and you've been deemed served, okay? So that may be a house 2 years ago, you're no longer there. That doesn't matter. That constitutes service. Once you've been served, most states, the time is 30 days to respond with an answer. If you don't answer a lawsuit, the other side's going to win based on a default judgment saying you never responded, so we win. So you want to make sure that any kind of notification, you may have forgotten to file your LLC annual report. You may have forgotten to pay a fee. The state is going to be mailing you to that address. Hey, girl, we need your report. Hey, King, we need your report. They're going to give you notices. If you don't respond, though, then they're going to make your LLC inactive. So if you form an LLC and it becomes inactive, we are now out here with our house, our car, our personal money now being exposed, and we don't want that, okay? So LLC, business address, we need to know who the registered agent is and have a current address, and we want to have a low risk industry name in our LLC if possible. Multiple businesses. So a lot of y'all are going to be serial entrepreneurs. We may have multiple different businesses. It's the same thing. Every business must have its own LLC. Well, why? Well, let's say I have Joy's Barbecue. Okay, Joy's Barbecue is the best barbecue in Houston. Okay, I got a line wrapped around the corner. I may have equipment. I may have some catering trucks. I got my money. I am booked and busy. Okay, your girl's booked. My barbecue business is paying my mortgage, is paying for these kids to do what they got to do, is paying for my whole lifestyle, and it's paying for my multiple locations. I want to then start Joy's Lashes. Let me see if I can be a little lash check and blah, blah, blah. But I put too much glue on the girl's eye and she goes blind. If I were to say, you know what, I'm just going to throw Joy's Lashes inside Joy's Barbecue LLC. I'm going to get a DBA, and then I'm going to just run my DBA out my one entity structure, and I'm going to just wait to see if I'm good at lashes. Well, if I put too much glue on the girl's eye and she sues me, she can now get whatever Joy's Lashes had and Joy's Barbecue. So she's able to touch additional assets, and we don't want that, okay? So when you form another business, that means another LLC. So same scenario, too much glue, she went blind. She's only going to touch Joy's Lashes. I will lose this. I won't lose this. I'm still being able to have my cash flow to pay all of my employees at the barbecue place. My mortgage is getting paid. These cars are getting paid. These kids got these snacks. They can football in the ballet. Everyone at home is good. Everyone at the barbecue place is good. Okay? Things are going to happen in business. I don't care how you structure it, how you set it up, how you pray. Something's going to happen. Your business structure is going to minimize your loss. So, yeah, I lost the money in the bank from the eyelashes, but it didn't touch the barbecue money, okay? So when we're talking about structure, we're talking about if something were to happen, how can I minimize my loss, okay? So every business you want to do, we aren't doing any DBAs. The only DBA we're going to do is if you want to have a generic corporate name. So maybe I'm Joy and Joy Enterprises, right? Boring. But maybe my barbecue is Ain't That Good Barbecue, right? Now, Ain't That Good Barbecue may be a little urban. I may not want Ain't That Good Barbecue like on my corporate documents. I may not want Ain't That Good Barbecue on my bank statements, but I may want to do business as Ain't That Good Barbecue because it's better to market. Well, I would have Joy and Joy Enterprises LLC, and my LLC would get a DBA to do business in a different name. If I was J&J Trucking, but I don't want to have trucking on my LLC documents, I would form J&J Enterprises with a DBA, and then I could market J&J Trucking. Okay, so that's the only reason where we're going to be using a DBA. The next thing we got to have is insurance. okay? Insurance is going to be when something happens, I got you. When we're starting our business, a lot of times money's going to be tight. We're on this budget. We're robbing Peter to pay Paul. I get it. Insurance is one of those things we cannot not pay. Okay? We cannot not pay insurance. Like after you pay the rent, it's the insurance. If you don't eat, if you don't get a haircut, if you don't get these nails done, that's fine. What we're not going to do is we're not going to skip out on this insurance, okay? There are different types of insurance. So you can look at, you wanted to talk to a commercial insurance agent. There will be an E&O policy or errors and omissions. If I were to make a mistake, someone has me, right? So let's just say I have a transportation company and I am transporting oranges to H-E-B, a grocery store. But my driver dropped the oranges off at Kroger's, not H-E-B. So now H-E-B is missing their order. H-E-B now is losing sales because they're out of oranges, right? Well, who do you think gonna pay for that? Who do you think has to pay for me to get the proper oranges to H-E-B? Who's gonna pay for all the money that H-E-B lost in them 2 days that it took me to get who paying for that? You. Okay, mistakes are going to happen. You're going to make a mistake. Your employee will make a mistake. Okay, so errors and omissions insurance is very important. If you have a brick and mortar, we got to have a general liability insurance, a $1 million policy minimum. But depending on what you're doing, you may want to look at more for coverage. You want to have a business loss or business interruption insurance. Okay. What were to happen if something happened and you couldn't operate your business? For example, let's just say you had some theft go on at your storage unit. Someone came in, they broke into all the units, they tore down all the doors, they graffitied everything, and they took everything out. Well, you may have insurance on the items, but what about the business you're about to lose as you have to hire contractors to get all the graffiti off, paint everything, get the doors in? You may be out of business for 2-3 weeks to a month. Well, who gonna pay you for that downtime? If you have business loss or business interruption insurance, an insurance company will pay you for, they'll pay for your general liability policy, will pay for you to get everything fixed. The business loss or business interruption insurance will cut you a check for what you would have normally made that month. Okay, that's why business banking and then these tax returns are important. They're going to say, well, give me your tax returns and give me your P&L. So what are we in? We're in November. My storage unit gets broken into and they done mess everything up. I'm going to be out of business for 30 days to get everything back. Okay, Joe, but give me your P&L for last year, November. Oh, okay. Well, you made $80,000. Here's a check for $80,000. So although I'm getting everything put together, I'm not missing out on money. See, insurance protects you. Now, maybe today we want to get these nails, we want to get these lashes, we want to go on this trip. But when something happens, once again, we don't want the monkey. So yeah, I'm out of business. Now I got to come out of pocket, but I don't need the extra stress. But how am I going to pay your rent? How you gonna go home and tell your significant other, I ain't got the mortgage? They don't want to hear this. Everyone's spouse ain't on this entrepreneurial dream. You chose to be an entrepreneur. I told you, don't quit your job. You chose now she over there barking. Now she mad. Now you're not having sex. Now where are we? At divorce court. Why? Because you didn't want to get insurance. Y'all are laughing like, oh my God, I am dead serious. This happens all day, every day. Every spouse can't handle a financial setback. You got to know who you married to, right? And so when something happens, and I'm not saying if, when something is going to happen, you want to make sure that my house is good. My employees are good. I can still pay everyone's bills. If you have employees working for you, they are dedicating their life to you, for you to provide a way to pay their bills. You owe them to have some kind of responsibility to make sure that the business stays open. You got 10 people dedicated or 2 people dedicated to work for you. I had 10 salons that have over 100 employees. I got 100 girls taking care of babies and rent and car note. I had on one day, I have 4 salons broken into. We still work. We gonna, push this glass aside. We gonna work with all the glass down. We gonna, with the sheetrock, we gonna still work. Rent still has to get paid. Okay, so you got to make sure that we have our insurance, and then whatever license or permits that you need, all of that is required to have your corporate formality. The last thing you want to make sure you have is going to be your operating agreement. This is going to be the contract for your business, how things are going to be ran. It's a corporate formality. If you're a single member LLC, well, while I need that, it's just me. If you're to get sued, the first thing they're going to subpoena is going to be your operating agreement. Okay, so just go ahead and get it, sign it, and keep it in your folder with your corporate documents. If you have a partnership, okay, a partnership is like a marriage. When we go into this, we're happy, we're excited, we're going to make all this money. But once we get into the nitty gritty, we may not mix, okay? In business, it's really hard to have a partnership. Whenever we're broke, when there's no money in the account, we're good. But the second the money comes in, now you doing less work than I'm doing, or my vision is this and your vision is this, or what if your partner dies and their spouse comes in? Does the spouse know the business? So if me and Mogul are partners and he dies, does his wife know how to no shade on his I don't even know his wife, but does his wife know how to manage the storage facility? Does she have business acclimate? Do I want to be a business partner with his wife? I may not. So in your operating agreement, you can align all these things out. If I were to die, I don't need my spouse in the business as far as the day-to-day running, but she needs to get cut her 50%. So she may know nothing about self-storage. She gonna say, well, Joy, you keep running it, you keep making the money, but on the first, I get cut Ramel's 50% he would normally get. All of these things are going to be put in the operating agreement. Okay, so if you have a multi-member LLC, so 2 or 3 partners, your operating agreement is like your partnership agreement. It is the life of you. Okay, how do you get out of this? Maybe we're in it, we don't see eye to eye. Okay, I want to get out. How do I get out of a business without just tearing this baby apart? That is so important. Maybe I want to get out and then y'all will just pay me over time. Maybe I want to reduce my percentage of ownership. I kind of be a silent partner. You want to have different options as to how do we get out if we just don't mix. Sometimes you just not going to mix, and it's okay. But a lot of times when you don't discuss all the what ifs, the only way to get out is you just tear this bad boy apart. And now we done spent 3 years building up this business just to tear the baby apart. It doesn't make sense. And then now that's hindering all this generational wealth. Okay, so you want to make sure we have an operating agreement and we have all of these stipulations set if you have a multi-member LLC. Now, we have formed our company. We are structured properly. Now we're going to be into the asset acquiring stage of our business. When you start acquiring assets, you want to make sure that they're protected. So when something happens, when you forgot to do something, when you make a mistake, when your employee makes a mistake, when an upset customer is just coming in trying to complain, if I have a storage unit, maybe someone decided in the content room to have a party, right? We're going to have a party in the content room and I fall and break my neck. Well, then what happens, okay? So a holding company is a great asset protection vehicle to use to separate the assets. So here's my self-storage units. I want to say I own 3, right? So I have 3 self-storage units that I own. When you start acquiring assets, we don't want to do business in the same LLC that owns the asset. Well, why? If I have my storage unit and someone in the content room, they have a party, they break their neck and they sue me, they may sue me for $2 million. I only have $1 million policy. My LLC is on the hook for $1 million. What are they going to do? They're going to go pick up all the assets of the LLC, okay? So someone's going to come with a tow truck. Hey, we got to take what you got. So they can now take my storage units. We don't want that, okay? So what we want to do is we will put the assets in a holding company. A holding company is just going to be an LLC, but what makes it a holding company is how we're going to use it. It's not going to do any business with the outside world. All it's going to do is going to hold the asset, meaning if I have vehicles, the title will be in the holding company's name and registered at the DMV in the holding company's name. If I have property, it'll be in the holding company's name. If maybe you own a trademark or a copyright, it'll be in the holding company's name. If we have a patent, it'll be in the holding company's name. I'll have an operating company that's doing business. So this LLC is managing the self-storage unit. This is the one on the bank account. This is the one on all the lease agreements. If I maybe have a Turo company or car rental, this is the company that's, doing all of the contract. If I have an Airbnb, this is the contract on the lease. This is the one doing business. It doesn't own any assets, right? So I have Airbnb or I have a storage facility. Same scenario. Someone falls, breaks their neck. They get a $2 million policy. I only had $1 million insurance, and now I'm on the hook for $1 million. They can only get what the LLC has. So you will lose whatever cash is in the bank, but you won't lose the actual property. Like I said, when it comes to having a loss, a lawsuit, we're trying to minimize our loss. It's easier to lose the money but still have the asset versus I lose everything. Now I got to start from ground zero. That's a bit much. So how we do this structure is the holding company owns the asset. They're gonna be a lease agreement between the two saying, hey, Property Management LLC is going to lease from the holding company the right to be able to use these storage facilities. Okay. Every single month, though, the Property Management LLC needs to be making a lease payment to the holding company. So all of this has to really happen. We can't just say, yeah, I'm going to sign a lease agreement and do all this, but we don't actually do it. Okay. Because once again, how I'm telling you how to set everything up, the lawyer on the other side is looking how to tear all this stuff down. So when they get in, wait, the LLC we suing don't have the assets? Wait a minute, well, where are the assets? The assets are holding company. Now they're hiring someone to go sniff around and see all the entities you own. What do they own? They're doing an asset recovery research. They're going to find everything that this LLC owns. How do I get here? How do I pierce the corporate veil? Yeah, you set this up all nice. Okay. My job as opposing counsel is to say, how do I break all this up? The first thing they're going to do is look to see, is your LLC active? They're going to go to the Secretary of State. If your LLC was inactive by the time you did this lawsuit, all this stuff is gone. Okay. It's just y'all just wait for your filing fees. All this is gone. They coming to get your stuff. Okay. They're going to subpoena your bank statements, normally the last 90 days. If we got nails, eyelashes, haircuts, hookah bars, baby, they coming to pick up your stuff. That's called piercing the corporate veil. It's called commingling funds. Okay. Then they're going to say, oh, you're leasing the assets? Well, let me see your lease agreement. You don't have a lease agreement. They come to get your stuff. Okay. Oh, well, they're going to subpoena 90 days bank statement of the holding company. Oh, you're leasing it. Let me see the lease payments. Okay. If there's not a lease payment in that account for the last 90 days, everything we run it to keep that asset protection. Okay, so that's holding companies. Now, you can do it with real estate, with anything. You want to have a lease agreement, you'll make your payments, and this is how this entity is able to use these assets. Another vehicle we can use for asset protection will be trust. Okay, now, in an LLC holding company format, you're going to be able to move these assets around. So depending on if I'm trying to get some financing, if I need to get a loan, I may need to move some of this property over to get approved for the loan, to show some collateral, and then put it back. Okay, so it's really easy to move things in and out of a holding company. Another way of protecting yourself would be with a trust. There are going to be two different types of trust, a revocable trust or an irrevocable trust. An irrevocable trust is bulletproof protection, meaning, baby, ain't no one coming to get nothing out of an irrevocable trust. However, In an irrevocable trust, you have no more say over the asset. So once I put that house in that trust, I'm gone. I can't touch it. I can't move it. I can't do anything with it. I am no longer in control of that asset. Okay. A lot of people aren't ready to let go of all the control, but that's what an irrevocable trust is. Now, irrevocable trust will still allow you to move things in and out. And you would need to get a trust formed in the state that you live in for succession planning or heirship planning. When you were to die, what is going to happen with that asset? So, like like Mogo was saying earlier, he has his trust set up, right? And he has his storage facilities in the trust. Well, we can set it up to where when you die, that the trust can then become an irrevocable trust, right? Now, the problem with second and third generational kids is they grow up spoiled, right? They grow up with getting everything that they want because you got money and you didn't have it. So you want to make sure your kids didn't grow up how you grew up, right? But the problem is they're spoiled. They don't understand work ethic. They think everything's just given to them. So you really end up creating a monster, right? Well, what if I die? Do I want my child having access to my 3 storage facilities? My child's going to sell it and go buy a car, go buy a Hellcat, go buy some. He's going to just waste the assets. So I done sweated and slaved for 60 years for him to go just dissipate the asset, right? Or what if my son inherits my storage units, but then he divorces because he married the wrong one? I don't want his ex-wife touching my stuff, right? So if you put things in an irrevocable trust, it's bulletproof, meaning when my son marries, anything in that trust is not going to become community property. So that little gold digger ain't going to get no gold, right? Or he can't just sell the asset and waste it. It'll be in there for life. So there are ways to have a revocable trust while you're living that then turns irrevocable. So when your kids get the asset, they won't just spend it, waste it, all that good stuff. You also want to look at, everyone should have a living trust, because when you die, you don't want the assets to go through probate court. Okay. So if you have a will, the will has to be what's called probated, meaning you got to go to court, you got to hire an attorney, you got to pay court fees for the judge to say, okay, this is the will. And the will says Susie gets this and Bill gets this and John gets this. Another thing with the will, I don't know how your family is, but we can knock him buck, right? Well, how come she getting this? Nana didn't tell me, and she told me, and boom, boom, boom. So now we can contest the will, okay? Because Kiki and them said she should get this. And so now we are just wasting all the assets and money in probate court, where if you were to have a living trust, upon your death, the trustee is going to just, move the assets around how you said it, and we're not going through probate court wasting any of our fees on court costs and attorney fees. Besides asset protection and giving it away, we may give our business away as we're alive by selling it. Okay. I don't know if you guys have heard of I'm sure you have, Main Choice. Main Choice is going to be a black hair company. Courtney O'Delly, I can't pronounce her last name, killing it, okay? A nurse, she started just with a hair growth oil, turned it to $100 million hair growth, black hair product company. The company went public, right? That means that people, like how y'all buy Apple stock and Nike stock, they got Main Choice stock, right? She sold her business. You can actually sell your business for your generational wealth. So we ain't got to pass down the business. Someone can cut you a check for your business. Now you have this big lump sum of money that we can now put in a trust. We can now start real estate. We can now, try other things to acquire assets and then pass those things on. But we got to have the proper corporate structure. we have to be running the business properly. We have to be able to, have things called financials. What are the numbers of our business? Okay. So when I mentioned our business banking earlier, we want to make sure that all of the income of the business hits the business bank account. In our cash heavy businesses, so if we do hair, we're a barber, we do lashes, we do nails, a lot of times your client's going to pay you cash. You may put that cash in your pocket, go to Walmart on your way home and get snacks or toiletries. Well, you spent the money. The business bank account never touched that money, so your business doesn't get credit for the money. So a lot of times in minority-owned businesses, they're making more money that they can actually prove they're making because they don't understand it has to touch the bank. I'm sure everyone got an uncle, don't put that cash in the bank. You want to keep that cash in the... That's not Walmart. That's not Walmart. That's that other stuff. Okay. So everything has to hit the bank. When it hits the bank, your bank account is going to be your business resume. My business makes X amount of money. We're going to have financials. There's a financial statement or a profit and loss will be my income was this, minus my expenses. That's going to be my net profit, right? There are softwares like QuickBooks, FreshBooks that you can use. I'm old school. I got a little business tax planner I have on my website. I do everything. Everything of my numbers is handwritten or a Google sheet, right? But you want to make sure that you have your financials and that we're now filing taxes, right? When you're a business owner, you're not about to get no refund. Okay, you don't need to find no one's kids. You're gonna be making money, so we gotta now cut the IRS a check. It's just a part of business. But when you have the proper structure, you have your finances, your financials, your bank account is showing what you're really making, you'll be able to sell your business, right? Well, someone likes it and they can say, hey, I can take this and run with it, or you may be able to find an investor. If their business is working, if the stores thing is working, why not get an investor and then just 10x it once? Now, Ramel just said, after my 2-3 years, get your systems going. Once it's working, how you get wealth is you just put the pedal to the metal. A, B, and C is working. I kind of, finished all the little, tweaks on it. I see what's not working. Now we just duplicate it. I had one salon went to 10, right? It's like I got 10, I'm making income 10 times, 7 days a week. Like a monkey can do this. Once you get the blueprint, all you got to do is duplicate it. And the duplication is what's going to take you to the wealth. But you first got to understand that blueprint. It's going to take you a couple years to get all the tweaks out to realize what is working, what's the marketing strategy, this works, that don't work, boom, boom, boom. Then once you know, oh, this is it, pedal to the metal. But you want to make sure we have our proper business structure so that if we can get the financing we need, we can sell our business if we need to. They have business grants out there that you can get to kind of help, get that startup cost. But you want to make sure that you're protected so that if something were to happen, we don't lose everything and that we can still keep our assets. So, any questions? Am I asking questions, Mogul, or no?
Nah.
Oh, okay.
We ain't got no time for questions. We like, hold on. It's ready. Let me get up, man.
No, I freestyle. I'm sorry.
Let me get up for here, man. This is getting crazy. All right, look, if y'all felt like that was valuable, which I know it was valuable, that's the things that really make it count. But if you felt like that was valuable, I want y'all to unmute and I want y'all to make some noise. We gotta feel it, man. We gotta feel it. Let us unmute and make some noise.
Hey. Thank y'all.
Appreciate it. enjoyed you. When you like me, I'll mute you. So they definitely enjoyed. You see the energy every time you bring it 150%. And I love this information that you break down because these are the steps that most people skip.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Most people skip these steps. And there's a reason why I wanted you to come in today and really break this down because we taught them so much on Sunday. We taught them a lot on Monday. You've seen some of the things that I was teaching today, but none of it will matter if you don't do this or what you learned, what Joy was teaching today. Right? It will not matter, right? And what can happen will happen. It's about life. We think that it won't happen, it will happen. And I say this all the time, like, ask me how you know Mogul, but how you know Mogul in the chat?
How you know Mogul? How you know Mogul?
I've been there. I'm telling y'all, man, we want to make sure we set you up for success. So, Joy, I thank you so much for coming in and adding this value. How many of y'all feel like I need to learn more? Like, if you feel like I need more of that, put more in the chat. Put more in the chat. All right. Perfect. So, Joy, you already know, we want to talk. I might have to bring you back and go into more detail because that was just too much hot fire. But thank you so much. I appreciate you. Any
no
last
problem.
words you want to share before you go?
My last words would be, you know what? Whatever is the vision that God gave you, He gave it to you for a reason. Okay, life is gonna throw you some Mike Tyson blows. Okay, so when you get the Mike Tyson blow, when you get that Holyfield blow, when life just knocks the air out of you, it's okay to take a break and pause or rest, but you got to get back up because if God gave you that vision, you have to believe that He's going to give you the provision. And a lot of times the provision is already what you have in front of you. You ain't got to wait. It's already here in front of you. You got to just kind of think outside the box as to how am I going to make something shake. We think it should be delivered to us one way, but God's like, baby, if you zig and zag and zag and zig, everything you need is already right in front of you. So I always say, whatever you need is already right in front of you. You have whatever it takes to take your life to that next level. I know y'all see all these degrees behind me, but as an attorney, I was making six figures, right? I made millions in industries that I had no experience in. So it's not the degree, right? It's not that. It's your hustle, it's your grit, it's your tenacity. That's what you need to take your life to that next level. So I'm going to see all y'all at the bank, okay?
Oh, see you at the bank. Everybody, see you at the bank. I love it. I'm going to drop your Instagram in the chat right now. So everybody that want to learn more and tap in, you can actually go follow Joy. Matter of fact, at this point, you owe her. You owe her. You got to tap in and follow her. It's like all that game is like, I owe you that at this point. So thank you so much. I appreciate you.
No problem. Have a good one.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, Live. I am going to save this class for my subscribers. So if you guys subscribe to me, I will keep whenever I do like a paid or a live webinar like this, I will save that for my subscribers so that they have a little something special. But if you guys were logging in, do y'all have any questions over the business structure stuff? I can answer a couple of questions. If you have any questions. I love how down to earth. Hey, Queen Mo Better, I'm down to earth or whatever. Let me see if we have any questions. Boom, 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 boom. Should you form the LLC or the holding company first? It doesn't matter. How I use holding companies, it's separate. So if you're looking for, let me get my pen. Let me get a marker. If you want an entity to own LLCs, I call that a parent subsidiary format. If that's the case, you would want to form your parent company first. You don't have to. So I would say have your company and have your holding company. I don't teach that we join these two together. I want the holding company to be separate off to the side by itself. If you want one entity to kind of own all your other entities, This would be a parent subsidiary. Normally, you would form the parent company first, and then they would own the other LLCs. If you do it backwards, you can amend your LLC so that you bring that parent company up. So ideally, form the parent company first. If not, you can amend them so that you can bring the subsidiaries underneath the parent company if you form that one later. Okay, let's see. Can you explain the holding LLC model? The holding company is just going to be, you'll have either you or your business, and then your holding company will own your assets. It's going to be a separate LLC that's just going to own your assets. So let's just say you personally own a couple of cars and your home. Well, if you are driving down the street and it rains and you hydroplane and you kill someone and they sue you and they get a $2 million judgment and you only had $1 million policy, well, then now you're on the hook personally for $1 million. So the receiver or the executor of the judgment is going to roll up to the bank, they're going to send the bank a garnishment letter saying, hey, we need these funds, and them funds are going to be gone. They're going to come to your house and they're going to pick up whatever assets you own to sell them to satisfy the judgment. So if your house or your car was owned by a holding company, well, you don't own them. So when they come to get your assets, you don't own anything, or you'll lose whatever money you had in the bank. You got some jewelry, some paintings, but you won't lose your hard assets. So that's how the holding company is set up. How do you set up the bank account separately from the business? Rosario goes, I don't understand the question. The bank account would be for the business. What do you mean by the bank account being separate from the business? If you guys need help, or if you guys need a business structure consultation, you can just put in the comments consultation, and a link will be sent to you to get on my calendar. Is there a large fee for having and using a trust? Does it get charged by the net worth of a trust? A trust is going to run you between $1,500 and $5,000, depending on how many assets that we're putting into the trust. A trust is going to be a document that an attorney drafts, and then depending on how complex it is, on how many assets it's owning, what it's doing, that will determine the price of a trust. What's Charlie's Instagram? The Hands Law Firm. They're a law partner that I refer. Hands Law Firm. If you look on my page, I have like a flyer of me and two guys. Then on the heading says trust. I have their Instagram there. But if you're not, it's either Hands Law Firm or The Hands Law Firm on Instagram. They do consultations on setting up your business trust. Operating payroll and bills separately, one LLC from the... Okay, so you're going to go to the bank account. You're going to open up 4 business bank accounts at the same bank under your business name. So you'll have an operating account, you'll have an expense account, you have a payroll account, and a tax/savings account. They'll all be at the same bank underneath your business name. You'll just have, like, on your online banking, instead of having like the last for your number, make some kind of like nickname designation so you know which one's operating expense, payroll, or whatever. But you would just set the 4 accounts up at the same bank underneath your business name. But most banks allow you to have some kind of designation as to what that account is for. So you log on to your online banking, you'll see payroll, operating expense, all that kind of good stuff. When do you do your lives, and are they daily at a certain time? I mostly do my live like around 10 o'clock at night. This was a paid webinar I did, so I did it based on this person's schedule. But I normally do my lives like around 10 o'clock at night because I do have a large California following. Sometimes I just be freestyling, girl, but I save all of my lives. The lives that I do myself, I save on my page, and then the ones that I do like that are paid or classes, I save for my subscribers. Do I need a registered agent and a virtual address as well? You can be your own agent if your LLC is in the same state as you are. If you form an LLC out of state, then you will need to get a registered agent in that state. I have a parent company that owns 3 LLCs. Do I need a separate holding company for the assets or use the parent company? No, you want to have a separate holding company. So if you have a parent company owning your LLCs, the holding company needs to be separate. Well, why? If this entity were to get sued, well, this LLC owns it. So if this LLC owns it, it can pierce that corporate veil and come up here and get these assets. So the whole point of having a holding company is to kind of keep everything separate. That is why I have a C Corp that owns 2 LLCs and a nonprofit. Okay. Can the parent company work similar to the holdings of protecting assets? Well, a parent to answer your question, a parent company can own assets. The issue is because the parent company owns businesses that are doing business, then we're now exposing the parent company to lawsuits. So if the parent company were to get sued, it would then lose its assets. So yes, the parent company can have assets, but if it gets sued, it's going to lose the assets. So the whole point of having the holding company off to the side is it's not doing any business. It's not entering into contracts. It's not financing. It's not running a business. So we're minimizing, like, who even knows that the holding company exists besides you? It's only going to be doing business with one of your businesses. So are you about to sue yourself? No. So the whole point of having a separate holding company so that, it doesn't get sued. To create a holding company, is it the same process as a regular LLC? Yes, it is. You just need to have either your commercial or your vehicle lease agreements to be able to use interchangeable between your holding company and your other LLCs. I do have the lease agreements on my website for sale. During tax time, do we pay the fee for taxes per LLC? Taxes are paid based on the profit of a business. So you can have 1,000 LLCs. If they aren't making any money, you're not paying any taxes. You can have one LLC that's making a lot of money, and you're paying a lot of taxes. So the taxes are going to be paid based on the profit of the business. How do you pay for those assets using the holding company? So normally, it'll be twofold. Normally, you're going to put a paid off asset in the holding company. If you're financing an asset, and maybe you're financing your home or a car, you can talk to your mortgage company or the finance company and say, hey, I have a trust or I have a holding company. I'm trying to move this asset over there. You're going to have to get permission from the bank. Most banks will not have a problem with you moving the asset to another entity for asset protection, but you would still be financing that loan. The holding company's not going to incur any debt. If you incur debt, we're now doing business and now we're exposing everything. I was told I should put my grand monies into my regular bank account and not into my business account yet. What do you think about this in the long or short run? Okay, magical, angelic, what is grand monies? I don't know what that is. What's the benefit of a parent company for your other companies? So, business structure is kind of like a personalized thing, right? So some people like to have this setup where one company owns all the other LLCs. Some people may zero out their subsidiaries. So let's just say I own all these LLCs. I may want to run everything through my parent companies. I may be taking my salary here. So what you could do is whatever are the profits in my subsidiaries, I could charge a management fee and take those profits out the LLCs, and it'll all run up to my parent company, right? So although I have these 3 LLCs, I'm running all the profits into one. So I have like one LLC making a lot of money. I can be paying myself as an S Corp out of this. I can apply for financing by pulling on these 3 different entities for the revenue to get financing. That's one thing people may do. Other people may like just to have a separate format. So each LLC kind of stands on its own. It's separate. There is no, there is no grouping of anything. It's more based on like, what is your preference? Like, what do you want? There is no better answer. There is no right or wrong answer. It's just, what do you prefer? How do you want? Do you want 2 entities to walk to the bank, or do you just want one entity to walk in the bank? It's all kind of like, what do you want to do for your structure? So if you have like question like what's the best thing for you to do with what you have going on, just comment consultation in this live and a link will be set and you can book a business structure call with me. All high risk industries, real estate, trucking, and construction. Grant money. If you get a business grant money, magical, angelic, it needs to go into the business account because the business got the grant money. So it does not need to be in your personal account. I have a custom apparel decorating business and it's an LLC. So now I need to get a holding company. Okay. So a holding company, we only need a holding company if we have assets. Okay. So do we own a car? Do we own property? Do we own trademarks? Do we own copyright? Do we own a patent? If you are just starting out in business and you don't have any assets, then you probably don't need a holding company. It's great to know what it is. So as your business grows and you acquire assets, you will know how to protect them. But if we don't have an asset, then no, we don't need a holding company. Is a holding company a trust? No, a holding company is going to be an LLC or a corporation. A trust is a trust. They do similar things, but they're different. Is there a way to protect a bank account? There's not. Okay, so like I said earlier in the webinar, if you were to get sued, you are going to lose something. There's no way to not lose anything. One of the ways of piercing the corporate veil is going to be under capitalization. So if you're pulling out all the money out of your business every single month, that's going to be deemed called under capitalization, and they're going to be able to pierce the corporate veil saying you weren't running your company correctly. So the business needs to have enough money to function on its own. If it's a new business and you're struggling just to kind of get the business going, then that's fine. But if we are making money, you cannot just be pulling out the money so that there's not a lot of cash left over in the bank. So you cannot protect the money in a bank account. You are going to lose that. If you were to lose a lawsuit, like everyone can get sued. I can sue all y'all tomorrow, right? Now, will I win the lawsuit? Do I have standing to sue you? Do I have a cause of action? No. So just because you get sued, it doesn't mean it's the death of you. I've been sued several times and I've had a lot of lawsuits dismissed, okay? Or I've won lawsuits. So being sued doesn't mean you're going to lose it all. It just, if you are wrong and you lose it, we don't want to lose everything. Okay, let's see. Best companies for virtual addresses. You can look at Opus, Regis, physicaladdress.com, Alliance. Those would be some good recommendations for mentorship. For virtual address. Can I pay for mentorship? You know what? I'm trying to come up with a mentorship program. I get asked about mentorship all day, every day, but I am trying to come up with some kind of like group mentorship. Maybe like 10 or 20 of y'all where I don't have to just charge an arm and a leg. I can make it affordable because if you're looking for mentorship, I'm sure we're on a budget. And so I'm trying to make it all make sense, right? So give me till December to roll out my mentorship program. So 4, expense, payroll, operating, and what else? Okay, no. The 4 bank accounts will be income. So where all your credit card deposits go, all your cash goes. The second will be operating or expenses, whichever word you like to use. The third is going to be for payroll. And then the fourth will be for tax/savings. So we'll be using this account to save money and using this money. So if we do have to pay a tax, we kind of can pull from some money and not have to write the entire tax check at one time. So which LLC does the bank account go into? Because isn't the bank account an asset? Okay, when I'm talking about an asset, I mean like real estate, vehicles, trucks, equipment, trademarks, copyright. I'm not meaning a business bank account. So your business bank account, whatever is the LLC, is going to have its own business bank account. We can't move accounts between different LLCs. So I'm not considering a business bank account an asset. So no, Rosario, to answer your question. Can a parent company work the same? Okay, a parent company cannot protect assets because a parent company owns other businesses, and so they're opening themselves up to be sued. So we should not be using a parent company to protect the assets. 10 p.m. what time zone? I normally go 10 p.m. Eastern time zone, so that'd be 7 o'clock your time, California. Should you get an LLC before starting the business at all, or do I start my idea? No, baby. Jen Love 2. The second the idea comes into your mind, we're forming our LLC. Okay, even if that LLC doesn't do anything, you can always amend the name and change it for your next business venture. But the second you're thinking about doing a business, you're going to start the LLC. One, to separate you from the LLC so your assets aren't doing business. Number two, let's go ahead and start the LLC age. Number three, when you're starting your business, you're now going to have expenses, right? So we're going to have LLC. We may be booking consultations. We may be, getting some kind of programs. We may be getting inventory. So all of these expenses should be coming out of our business bank account, right? So you want to make sure that we form our LLC the second we think we're about to start a business. Could you put the parent company in the trust to make it untouchable? No. A trust can own the parent company, but it won't be untouchable. You're going to be touched in business, baby. If you're in these business streets, they're going to touch you. That's what I'm trying to tell you, how to move some things around. So when they touch you, they don't just touch all of you. Is the holding company and parent company term interchangeable? I would say yes. Some people consider this to be a holding company because it's holding other LLCs. So I always clarify, when I'm talking about a holding company, I'm not talking about a business that's owning other businesses. I'm talking about a business entity that's just owning assets, and we're keeping them separate from anything else that we have. Can the LLC own rentals in another state? Yes, it can. What is a good percentage of business to share since a single member LLC is no good? Should I be a manager of a business? Well, I don't think a single member LLC is no good. I wouldn't share any interest, because that's adding someone to your business. If it's just you and your business, it just needs to be you and your business. So is it legal to not have your business name as a DBA but do business and have an LLC? So is it legal to not have your business name as a DBA but still do business and have an LLC? I'm not understanding what you're asking. Millionaire is the goal. Can you ask your question again? What is the best way to pay ourselves when owning an LLC? If you own an LLC, if you are an LLC member and we're not being taxed as an S corp, you're going to pay yourself through an owner's draw or a distribution, meaning you're going to just write yourself a check or do like a wire transfer to your account. An LLC is deemed a pass-through entity, meaning the money that is made is going to flow to your tax return, whether you spend it or not. So if the LLC made in profit $100, but you only paid yourself $10 and you left the 90 in the business bank account, you're still going to be paying a tax on the full 100. So whether you take it out or you don't, it doesn't matter. Now, once you make around $60,000 or $80,000 in profit, you want to look into being taxed as an S corp. An S corp is not going to be paying I think it's 15.3 or 15.4% self-employment tax. But to be a member, but to have an S corp, you now have to be on payroll. Meaning you got to have a payroll check being cut to you every 2 weeks with payroll taxes being taken out. So what you could do is, let's just say I'm going to pay myself $50,000, but I'm an S corp now. I would pay myself half my salary on a W-2 check and then take the other half as a owner's draw or a distribution. So my entire paycheck doesn't have to have those payroll taxes coming out of it. But if you're just an LLC, not taxed as an S corp, you cannot be on payroll. You just take your money out as an owner's draw. Are you saying by assets in a parent company, then lease back to the parent company? Assets don't need to be in a parent company. Assets need to be in a holding company. Assets need to be in an entity that is by itself, that's not doing business, that doesn't own anything else. It doesn't own any other. It just needs to be in an entity by itself that I'm calling a holding company. You would lease the assets to whatever entity or whatever person is using the assets. So if I'm going to put my car in the holding company, I would have a lease agreement between me and my holding company, and I would lease myself the car, and every month I would be paying a lease payment to my holding company for the lease. That's what I would do. Miss Rosario, I do not do nonprofit work, and I stay in my lane. You know what? I do have there's a cute little older company. Let's see if I can go on Instagram on my computer. There's a cute little an older couple that does, I think they're so cute, and they do nonprofit work. Let me see if they'll pull up. This is okay. On Instagram, their name is going to be Mr. and Mrs. Durham. So MrAndMRSDurham. It's a husband and wife, and they do a lot of setting up nonprofits, teaching you how to run your nonprofit. I'm a big believer of, staying in your lane. So if it's not in my lane, I will always give you a referral for someone who I think this is their lane. And so I like Mr. and Mrs. Durham. They're really cute. Their content to me is very, they are branded nicely. They have a lot of good information. So I would type it in the comments. Maybe I'll add them. I can't type in my comments because my live will freeze. So I will add Mr. and I will add them for those who are looking for the nonprofit referral. I'll add them. What if your LLC doesn't have any income but a lot of expenses? Then you'll be operating at a loss. So if you only have your business is on your tax return, it will just be a loss. But you can carry a loss forward for 5 years. So you need to get with your CPA, your accountant. So if you don't have another 9-to-5 job, or you're paying taxes, you'll just have that loss. And so you can carry a loss for 5 years. So if next year you make a profit, you can use this year's loss to X out whatever that profit is, and you can use that up to 5 years or however long it takes you to eat up that loss. Okay, the operating company pays the holding company amount for each leased asset. Yes, each asset that's going to be leased is going to have a lease agreement. Like, imagine you're going to Toyota to lease a car, or imagine you going to an apartment complex to lease an apartment. So each asset's going to have a lease agreement with whoever is going to be using that asset. So you'll have a lease agreement for each of those things. Okay. Could you put the parent company in a trust to make it, baby? Nothing is going to be untouchable. Okay. Or nothing's going to be untouchable that you can control. I'll say that. So anything you can look into putting something in an irrevocable trust. But once again, once you put something in an irrevocable trust, you don't have any control over it. So is the who gonna run the business? You're not gonna have any say over it. What can you do if you have 5 properties in your name already to protect yourself and your assets? What are you doing with your properties? If there's a mortgage on them, you could serve as the holding company, right? So if you have 5 rental properties, but the mortgage is in your name, you don't need to be the person. Well, let me back up. If you have 5 rental properties and there's a mortgage, you don't own that asset. So if someone were to slip and fall, they can't take the asset because the bank gonna be like, hold on, I own the asset. So you won't lose an asset that's encumbered, right? Unless the value of the asset is more than what's owed on it. So let's just say that you have a house, it's worth $100,000, but you only owe 10. Well, they can make you, refinance the house or pull a line of equity out for that 90. But if you have any kind of property that has a debt on it, you can't lose it because you don't own it. Now, what you can do so that you can separate yourself from any kind of yourself personally from any kind of liability is form an LLC. And I'm assuming if you have 5 properties, either we're Airbnb-ing them or they're rental properties. So your personal name does not need to be on the lease agreement. So you'll form an LLC that will be the property management. I don't know, the operating LLC or whatever you want to call it. And that will be the entity that is on the lease agreement that's dealing with the tenant, that's collecting the rent. So if something were to happen, they will sue. They aren't going to sue you personally. They're going to sue the entity that they signed that lease agreement with. So that's how you could do that. How much is it going to cost me to set up a trust? It's going to start around $1,500. Let's see. You know what? If y'all want this mentorship, DM me. What are y'all looking for mentorship? Like, what are y'all wanting? It's going to be group, okay? Because I can't just be doing all this one-on-one. It'll be something group. I was thinking like maybe having like 2 or 3 different stages. Like, I'll have my little startups and I'll have like people who are like, kind of like 1 to 5 years. And then maybe have another group that's, a little more seasoned so that everyone can kind of like network and meet people that are kind of like in the same boat as them. But if y'all are looking for mentorship, tell me what y'all are looking for and what is the price point so I can make sure that we're both on the same page. So we're both on the same page. Okay. Okay, so how would you recommend to protect your assets under an LLC? I would suggest that you get a form a holding company and transfer your assets into the holding company and then lease them out to either you or another entity. Can a holding business be a DBA? Baby. So a DBA is don't be asked out, okay? A DBA is nothing. Can you have a holding company that is using a DBA for its name? Yes, but if you go get a DBA, you aren't forming anything. A DBA is just giving yourself a nickname. So to have a holding company, you have to form some kind of business entity. So an LLC or a corporation, my entity of choice would be an LLC. Why do rich people not pay as much tax as the middle class? Rich people don't pay as much as the middle class because there are different, a lot of times, one, it depends on what you're calling rich and what they're rich in, okay? So there are different tax breaks for real estate. There's different tax breaks for different kinds of industries. The middle class, 9 out of 10 times, a middle class is going to be a W-2 employee, right? So a lot of rich people are going to have something called passive income, which is taxed at a different rate, where a lot of the middle class have what's called earned income. So that's going to be taxed at a higher rate. And then Trump, he just reduced the tax rate for the ultra wealthy. So as of now, the burden of taxes is killing the middle class. So it's just how our tax structure is, and the different types of income. Most middle class people have the bulk of their income as earned income versus like passive income. When leasing assets to the LLC from a holding company, how much should be charged? For example, if it costs $2,000 a month to lease a food truck, should I charge a $2,000 lease, or can I charge myself less? If there is a mortgage or any kind of note on the asset that you're leasing, I would just make the lease agreement that amount to cover that bill. If not, you can make it whatever is affordable for you. It doesn't have to be like what the going rate is, like off of the showroom floor. Having a holding company that owns another LLC, which LLC should I buy vehicles? Also, which should I get business funding for, or both? So, Stephanie, a holding company shouldn't own any other LLC. It should just be by itself. We're not going to incur any debt. We're not going to do any business funding. The holding company shouldn't be doing anything but holding the deed to the property, holding the trust to the vehicle, holding the trademark or the copyright or the patent, okay? So whatever's going to be your operating LLC, whichever is the LLC that has the revenue, that will be the LLC that you're using to get the business funding. What if you have an LLC that doesn't have any income yet but has a lot of expenses? Can you still file taxes? You can file taxes. You're not going to get anything filing the taxes, but you can use the loss. And then, like I said, you can carry that loss over for 5 years. So you'll just file the return. It'll have a loss, and we'll just put the return in your file cabinet. You aren't about to get a refund check, right? Just because you have a loss doesn't mean that you're going to get a refund. The only way to get a refund from something is you would have had to pay a tax in. So you paid payroll taxes from your 9-to-5 job. You have a loss that can offset your income. You'll get some of the payroll taxes from your 9-to-5 job back. If you're a serial entrepreneur, you haven't paid any taxes in, you're not going to get anything back just by filing a tax return with a loss. But when you file with that loss, like I said, you can carry that loss forward for 5 years. I haven't had any transactions this year, just been setting up how do I file taxes. If you don't have any income, you don't have to file a tax return. What is the main difference between a sole proprietor and a single member? Maybe a sole proprietor is about to lose everything they own when they get sued. A sole proprietor is just someone doing business on their own. There is no protection. An LLC single member is someone who's formed an LLC, so they have a business entity, and only one person or that single member owns the LLC. As an owner of LLC, do I have to pay myself, or can I save the full profits? As an LLC owner, you don't have to pay yourself. However, like I said, an LLC is a pass-through entity. So whether you pay yourself or you don't pay yourself, you're still going to pay taxes on all the profits. So if I made $100 and I keep it in the business, I'm still going to pay taxes on the $100. How does an owner's draw get taxed? An owner's draw doesn't get taxed because the owner pays taxes on all the profits of the business. So if you make $100 and you just paid yourself $10, well, that's fine. On your tax return, you're going to pay a tax on all $100. So an owner's draw is not taxed because you're being taxed on the total profit, not just what you take out. Okay, well, once again, I'm going to save this live for my subscribers since I was doing a webinar earlier. So if you were one of my subscribers, you will see this live on the feed. Everyone have a great night, and I will, of course, see you at the bank.